How many times did you change documentation to make the loan fit so it would be approved? And the guy looked right at us and said, I don't know, maybe 200 times.
We got as they were forging who they were signing.
And you recognized right away, this is 8 years after the fact, that that's not your signature.
That's not my signature, and it's not even my name.
Well,
and
what was your reaction when you figured that out for the first time?
I called the police, and I made a police report because this is new discovery, and I was told I needed new things in order to pick this back up with an attorney.
She had all the evidence. She knew she had gotten set up. They had stolen her home. She had been able to prove it. She goes in front of the judge. And I mean, the amount of time and effort, it destroyed her life. It basically took her away from her friends, led to a divorce, and all the kinds of things that I'm in the midst of. And ultimately, she stood in front of the judge with all of the evidence. And she said, the judge says to her, you're right, but there's nothing I can do about it. Think about that. This from a judge who gets paid a hell of a good salary and never gets, I mean, it works for their entire career as a judge. They're literally untouchable. She sat there and told Becky, there's nothing I can do. This is the judge. Guys, I got evidence of literally 70,000 plus pieces of documentation fraud that led to this kind of thing. There's millions of cases.
This is their most important document in their life. They live the American dream. They bought a house. They want to know who owns their mortgage. And nobody cared. I'm being dead honest. Nobody went to jail. Jamie Dimon's still floating around. All the banks are floating around. I asked all of the banks, the top 5 banks. I privately went to them and said, will you come to the Salem Registry of Deeds and sit in my office? No press, no nothing. I want to show you what your bank did. All I want you to do is come up with a solution. Not one of them showed up. Not one of them responded. They ignored me. Well, they found out that Jeff and I, you can ignore us, but we've got one thing. We got a mouth. And then we met you guys with the con. And if I can say this, and I'm going to say it, the con should have been on national television. It should have been on HBO. It should have been on Netflix. And we all know why it wasn't. We all know why it wasn't. Because they didn't want the American people to hear the truth and see the truth as to what these banks did. And trust me, it's going to happen again.
True to form, Mr. O'Brien just really loads up the pens and knocks them down because from my perspective as the producer of the con with my colleague Eric, I mean, none of this made sense, quite frankly, until we started meeting the likes of you and John, Jeff. And we pulled every single thread